new again. And I'm not making light of it. I want to take a picture of your screen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back live with the Louis B. Free radio show, Brain Food from the Heartland. As promised, I have Mary Faktor on, as I've been talking about, 6 Ages, the one-woman comedy show this Saturday at 8 p.m. at the beautiful Robbins Theater. Have you been, Mary, to the...
I was there the other day starting to set up. I'm going back this afternoon
Beautiful.
to finish setting up.
Are you?
Gorgeous.
Beautiful theater.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like a Broadway theater. It's gorgeous.
It is. It is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful theater. And I'm just delighted that they did what they did to renovate it.
It's marble staircases, crystal chandeliers, velvet seats. It's absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. Let's talk about you and take us back. I love reading a bit of your bio. Tell us who you are, Mary.
Where to start? I was born in a log cabin. No, that's not it. I'm from Chicago originally, born and raised on the south side of Chicago. Married my high school sweetheart, got married right after high school, became a secretary because that's what I was told I was meant to do by my parents. And I had 2 kids by the time I was 22. And I had everything that I was supposed to do. I was a good girl. I went to church and got married and had the kids and had the house and the dog. And I was depressed a lot. And so I went to a counselor and I talked to her, and she asked me a very important question. She said, "What would you be doing with your life if you didn't have to be a secretary? And if you didn't have to worry about the husband and the kids and the house and society?" And I said, "Oh, that's easy. I'd be an actress," because ever since I was a little kid, my idea of a great time was putting on little shows for the neighborhood with all the other kids in the neighborhood. And she said, "Well, do that. You're so depressed. Get into community theater or something." And so I went and auditioned at this dinky little bottom of a church basement community theater. And I got cast in the very first thing I ever tried out for. I got cast in Neil Simon's play, The Last of the Red Hot Lovers. Wow. I got cast as Jeanette, the depressed.
And how old? I'm sorry, how old?
I was 30. I'm 30 years old. And I got cast as Jeanette, the depressed housewife. So that was my start in show business. And I started doing more community theater. And eventually I wrote my own show. I went on some auditions and I didn't get cast. "You're too young, you're too old, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too blonde, you're not blonde enough." And I said, "Phooey on this. I'm going to write my own show and be able to do it whenever I want." And that's how the show was born in the 1980s. I have been performing it all over the country for over 35 years. It started out very small, just me with a chair and a bridge club table. And it now has grown into what it is today with the full set and costumes and props and sound systems. And it's just very popular. I took it up from like Bob Newhart on the phone. I wanted to be able to do it myself. I didn't want to depend on another person. "Oh, my car won't start. My kid is sick. My husband doesn't want me to do this anymore." So I made it where it was just me, and my show is all about me on the telephone with my best friend. It starts out where I'm a teenager, about 1960, and I am excited about this guy I've just met. The next phone call, I'm a newlywed. I marry him right out of high school. And my marriage is always going to be so romantic, and we're going to be forever like Sonny and Cher. And the next one, I'm pregnant with my first child, and I'm going to be the perfect mother. I'm never going to yell at my children, and sugar will never touch my children's lips. And the next phone call, I'm pregnant with the 4th child. I planned on only having 2, but I used the rhythm method. And I'm bribing the kids with ho-hos and Twinkies to leave me alone while I'm on the phone.
And excuse me, Mary, I will explain the rhythm method later for you young people that don't know.
For the young people who don't know.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The phone call, I am gone back to work, become a successful career woman. The kids are teenagers and I'm going through menopause. And then at the end, I'm a healthy, active, vital senior. The kids are grown. I'm trying to recapture the romance with my husband now that the kids are out of the house. And we went to a hotel with mirrors on the ceiling, and all he wanted to do was watch himself gargle. So it's all
Hilarious.
very good humor. It's Ray Romano type humor, Ray Romano, Roseanne Barr, that kind of just housewife and kids and husband and life. And I've had people tell me, "Oh my God, you must have been hiding in my closet for my whole life. You just did my life." I hear that a lot from people. It's very relatable.
Yeah. How's that feel for you when you hear that? You
Oh,
hear
I
it
love it.
different ages. I mean, you hear it, correct? You hear it.
Yes. Yes, I hear so many compliments. I get, oh, honey, this is the first time I've belly laughed in 20 years. I hear that. I hear, my mother hasn't laughed since my father died. You just made her crack up. I feel very good about the fact that I'm bringing joy and laughter to so many people. And the majority of my audiences are women, but men love the show too. Don't let the title fool you. They really enjoy it also.
And I would think, for men, because I saw some of the things that you've written about the show, men to take the lady in their life or ladies in their life, they've got a mom,
Mhm.
I didn't mean
Yeah,
multiple girlfriends, or
right.
if they have multiple girlfriends and that's
Yeah.
whatever. I don't judge
Whatever.
as long as everything's consensual and everybody's of
Sure.
age, whatever. And I think because you want to bring that joy. I mean, guys shouldn't want to. I don't even know. I'm the king of the bad analogy in my family. You don't want to bring your lady to watch, I don't know, an engine get tuned up or whatever. See, but your lady would enjoy seeing you being delighted with that. I don't think I'm making any sense now, but bring them and watch the joy, and they'll appreciate that you did. And I think from what I know about it, the guys will love it because
The men love the show too.
or they
Yeah,
may
they see
say,
their wife, they
yeah,
see their mother, they
yeah,
see their sister, they see the way we are. We're trying to talk. Do you ever try to talk on the phone when you have kids? They're constantly interrupting you. They're
yes,
getting into
yes,
fights with each other. They're doing things, the very thing they know they shouldn't do because you're on the phone and you can't stop them. All of that is in the show. I'm trying to talk on the phone and I'm dealing with the kids on the side and they love it. Little things that women do, like the minute you get home, you take off your shoes and you take off your bra. I mean, that's just the stuff women do. And so they're relating on such a level that they really get a
great.
big kick. Yeah.
And
The
a lot,
first time my husband saw me take my bra off without taking my shirt off, reaching up and pulling the straps out and taking it off through the top,
yeah,
he
it's
was
like a
looking
magic.
at me like,
It's
what
for
kind of
these
man?
guys. It's like a magic trick. It's like, how did you do that?
Yes,
Correct. I mean,
exactly.
he's
Exactly.
looking at you like, wow, what else can you do?
Mhm.
But that's things, again, the ladies will relate to it. And I think the guys will get a kick out and things they never thought of.
Yeah. Well, you hear what we talk about when you're not in the room. A lot. You'll hear how we describe things and what we actually talk about. Um, it's a lot of fun and it's very relatable. It's been successful for over 35 years. So who am
That's
I to argue?
incredible. Yeah.
I started out small and ended up where I am now.
That's
Yeah,
that's got to be really soul satisfying for you
it is.
who have
It
written
is.
it. And I love the fact that you didn't get into it. And because of the rejections, you didn't say, I'm going to find something else. I'm going to find something.
Oh,
You
yeah.
said, okay, I'm going to write it and I'm going to do it, as opposed to, like you say, you're not blonde enough, whatever. You're too young. You're whatever they would say, because I
Yeah.
would think that could get very discouraging for someone.
Well, I
It
still
starts with
deal with that.
self-doubt. Go ahead.
I still deal with that because I am a professional actor. I am in AFTRA SAG. We're on strike right now.
Yeah.
But I do films, I do industrial films, I do voiceovers, I do all of that also. And the older a woman gets, the less parts there are available. When you're in your 30s, you're the soccer mom and you're the macaroni and cheese mom and all that. And then you're 40, now you're not that anymore.
I lost your sound. Can you hear me? I lost your sound. It'll come back. I know. Listen to me. It'll come back on its own. Wait.
There, how's that? Is that better?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I'm in the Actors Union, and I do films and commercials and such like that. And now that I'm older, now I'm the grandma. I'm the grandma that will still go on a roller coaster. I'm not the sit in a rocking chair grandma.
Literally a roller
Cool
coaster.
grandma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Took me a second. Sorry, Mary.
So it's a different market now,
When you say that, and again, most of us not being in that profession don't think about the parts, how that would change,
Mm-hmm.
over the years, and now that grandma type and just different through
Right.
the different stages of life
Sure.
and fit in. But so you do that, but again, what you wrote, relatable to
Mm-hmm.
audience.
Yes, and I aged from being
Three
a
and a half
teenager to a
decades.
grandmother.
I'm sorry.
Pardon?
Go ahead. Say it
I
again.
aged from being a teenager to a grandmother within the show. So you're watching the differences. There's minor costume changes. There's minor hair changes. I step behind a dressing screen and make a little change while I continue talking to the audience, and then come back out and do the next phone call. It's very. I took it from a movie, a play called Same Time Next Year, where they age every 5 years. This couple meets, and it runs a course of 25 years.
Yeah, that's an old.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's a Alan Alda, Ellen Burstyn movie,
yeah.
and it was Broadway. I played Doris in community theater, and so I loved that concept of being in a relationship with someone over the course of a lifetime. And I took that, and I took the Bob Newhart phone calls, and that was my inspiration for the show. But the other thing about the show is that it's at 8 o'clock at the Robbins Theater, and tickets are $25. But
Yeah,
make
great.
sure you get them on the Robbins website through tix.com, tix.com. They're $25 for any seat in the house. But if
She's
you
great.
click on Robbins Theater, a lot of times it takes you to a third-person website that ups the price of the tickets. So you got to be careful. You got to make sure that you're getting them at the Robbins Theater website.
So they actually now
You
have
don't get tipped.
used
Yeah.
to be scalpers outside of concerts and venues.
Yes, that's
Now
what they're
web-
doing there, even
websites
at the
do.
Robbins.
Wow.
Yeah, they're scalping the tickets. Yeah.
That's interesting. And very affordable, which
Mm-hmm.
is great too, because there's
$25. Yeah.
so many things, Mary Faktor, that I see that are I don't know how people go. I dare say, okay, maybe if it's I don't know, somewhere in New York City at some big venue or something more expensive, but in the area, what people are telling me they've paid for tickets.
Oh yeah, sports
Or
events.
it's
Yeah.
it's just like I find rather outrageous. So
Right.
it'd be something, be a good date night, or like you say, take mom, take the girlfriend, take
It's
the
a
wife.
wonderful date night. The men can really make brownie points taking your wife, your
That's it.
sister,
Brownie
your
points.
aunt, your grandma, your mother.
All of
You will
them.
make brownie points bringing your favorite lady to this event.
And I would,
Yeah.
Mary Factor, I would think that Susan, if you have a group, depending on who's still in your circle, who's still, I'm going to say,
Book
alive,
club, whatever. Yeah.
whatever, if you bring a daughter, an aunt, mom, grandma, where that's going to be something they'll talk about forever. Remember
Right.
the time we went? I can hear it in my head. Remember the time?
Well,
we
I see
went to
that.
the
I
Robbins
see that a
Theater?
lot. The women are bringing their daughters who are now married or pregnant, and they're laughing together because the mom is seeing what she's been through, and the daughter is seeing what she's in for. And that is a really bonding experience for the moms and daughters. I've seen that a lot in my shows through the years. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get that different perspective. That's interesting. I don't. Again, I'm not going to make an explanation or excuses for my lack of good recall these days. But I just heard this. I believe I just heard it recently. Something about if men had to, how was it? If men had to go through labor, or I think it's 12-hour labor, there'd be no more procreation. The plants would be.
That is in the show.
Oh, is that where?
That concept is in the show. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry.
She fantasizes about if God shook up the universe and made it men who had the babies instead of the women.
There you go.
That's one of the big jokes in the show. Yeah.
It's probably true. I mean,
right.
We're very different. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, we're same, this and that." We're all different. Obviously, there's similarities amongst women sometimes, amongst men, but and I embrace the difference.
Yes.
Certainly wouldn't want to be out on a date with somebody like me. That's for sure. So, but it's the show, like you say, it's funny and poignant in parts, correct?
Yes. Yes, it is. She in the fifth call, she is separated from her husband for a while, and she has the opportunity to have an affair. She doesn't take it, but she has that option because they're separated. And that is a very poignant moment in the story where she finally gets into therapy, marriage counseling with her husband, and they come out stronger than ever. And that's a strong message in the show, to work through your issues.
Yeah, to work through them.
Right.
My line has been for decades, you deal with, no one's going to see the air quotes, but you deal with it, whatever it is, or it will deal with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm all for people getting counseling, individuals, couples, families, whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you're too close. I remember a therapist told me this, probably 40 years ago. And I was taught, and I said, oh yeah, I can't remember, it was a woman or a man a friend was telling me about the relationship. And she said to me, I felt very wise, Mary Faktor, that she said, just remember, you are hearing 100% of half the story.
Yes.
And I thought, wow, that still echoes in my head today.
Yeah.
So to have
even cellophane has two sides.
Oh, I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And once you stretch the cellophane, you can no longer return it to its original shape. So it's the other part of my life. I do life coaching. I trained with John Gray, the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, and John Gray, the Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I trained with Jack Canfield of the Chicken Soup series. Yeah. And I do life coaching and workshops on that type of thing. So I've done a lot of work on myself over the past 30 years. Yeah.
What is that like for you? When you get, I'm going to say, let me be more specific, Mary, when you get, I don't know, I hate to use like a breakthrough, when you see the person that you're working with, like has that, what do they say, aha moment, or it's like, that's got to be.
It's great. Yeah. When you see that they finally get it, they're seeing it from a different perspective, and they get, a man who's a rager, he thinks, well, yeah, I pulled the phone out of the wall and smashed my fist through the wall, but I didn't hit anybody.
Yeah.
And he justifies the fact that he didn't hurt somebody. And I get through to them, like you ate the bad potato salad at the picnic and you stuffed it down so much because you didn't want to throw up. And finally you did, and you sprayed everybody in the room. You are still affecting other people with your rage, even though you're not physically laying a fist on them. Yeah. So that's a whole other part of my life.
Yeah. And we should, maybe down the road, we can visit again about that, because that's fascinating when people, and when they say, we use the example. Yeah, I did this. I hit the wall. I broke whatever. But I did. It's always that but. And the older I get, and the weirder my brain starts to work. I always think about the word. Oftentimes when people say but, doesn't that kind of negate what you
It
just
negates everything that came before the but.
right?
Yeah.
Is
Mhm.
and
Right.
I'm very cautious when I go to say but sometimes, and
Yeah.
I chastise myself. I say yet, I try to use yet instead of but.
Yeah.
That's people make excuses. Again, one of my lines over the years has been people want to point the finger but fear the mirror. They don't want to look at
Yes.
the involvement.
Absolutely.
They'll point the finger. You did this. You don't do that. Whatever. They never want
Right.
to examine.
You made me do this. You made me do
Oh,
this.
that
Yeah,
that
that's
one.
the
Yeah,
big
you
one.
made me
Yeah.
hit you when
Look what you made me do. Yeah.
look what you made me
Yeah.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's got to be fascinating for you.
Yeah.
And
Like I
again,
said, that's a whole other part of my life. The comedy actor part of me, and then that part of me. It's two different sides of my life.
so you've got a lot of heart. It sounds like to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Where do you
No
think that?
doubt
I
about
know
it.
it's a weird question, but where do you think that comes from, Mary?
My I didn't have the easiest childhood, and I think I'm an old soul, and I always was looking deeper, always looking for answers, always able. You can learn through wisdom, or you can learn through pain. And I always looked up to people that had wisdom. I listened. If somebody had advice to give me, that didn't mean you have to take the advice, but you should at least listen to it. And I used to write to Ann Landers all the time when I was a
My
kid.
God, Ann Landers. Yeah.
I lived in Chicago, and she was out of the Chicago Sun-Times, and I read her column every single day, and I wrote to her, and she always wrote back. And I had a folder full of letters and answers that
You would
she had
right
written.
back, like right
Yeah, she
back.
had a whole team of people that worked for her, and she would give them, quickie dictation of how to answer letters and that, and they would return to the person. If you gave a self-addressed stamped envelope, you got a response from Ann Landers. Yeah, she was like the wise aunt that I never had. So, but I always looked for the wisdom. I've always been mature, even when I was a young kid. I met my husband when I was 14. I went steady 5.5 years and married him when I was 19. And I just was different from the movies I liked, the music I liked. I was very different from anybody my age.
And that again, that we deal with what we deal with one way or the other. You absorb,
Right.
you learn from it, and stop.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what I'm always Mary Faktor freaked out if you hear, well, my dad hit my mom, and and then they'll say, and I turned out okay. It's like, not really. It's just that
Yes and no. Yeah.
somebody
You
that
survived.
grew up, and when I've talked with them and say, you had to be terrified because here's your dad, you love your dad maybe, and you love your mom, you can't protect her, and that you had to be, why would you pass that on? Yet
Well, what it
people
taught me
justify.
was
Right.
I became a very strong, outspoken person from the time I was young. I was never been afraid to speak my mind. And if somebody was bullying somebody, I'd be the first to step in. And if somebody was picking on me and it was undeserved, I'd be the first to get right up in their face and stand up for myself. Some people will shrink back, other people will step forward. And like I said, I think I was an old soul, and I just stepped forward and would get right in their face and go, "Oh, you think you're getting away with that? No, I don't think so."
Right. I love
No.
that. But you took what others would perceive to be, what I shouldn't say perceived to be, was negatives, and turned it into a positive. That's what I'm
Yes,
doing.
absolutely. Yeah,
So those struggles, the difficult, whatever they were.
right. Which is the same thing with the show. The negative was I wasn't getting cast enough to please me. So I said, I'm going to write my own show, and I'm going to do it whenever I want and for whomever I want. And that's how the show was born, taking a negative of not getting the jobs you want and turning it into a positive by creating your own thing.
As opposed
So,
to,
as opposed to feeling sorry for myself and quitting and going and becoming a waitress or something, you know.
and being unhappy
Yeah, right.
because you weren't doing what you were obviously meant to do or driven
Right.
to, wanted to do.
Right. And then I got into public speaking, and I got into voiceover, and I got into writing. I have a book of poetry that I've published that I have a narrative prior to each poem to explain why I wrote that poem and what meaning it has for me. And then I publish that, and I sell that after my show. I have
Oh, you do? You sell them so they'll be available?
Yes,
after
they're
the show is
$20, and I sign each one.
I was
And
going to ask if you sign them.
yeah, of
Like
course.
an autograph book, right? Well, you're an author, but for people to have that's a great
Yes.
opportunity. Great
And a
opportunity.
lot of poetry, people go, ugh, poetry, you know, the leaf, the dewy leaves, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what do you mean by that? My stuff, you don't have to ask what I meant by it. It's like in your face
Right.
poetry.
That's good. That's
So,
good. Yeah,
yeah.
because some of it gets is again, I don't write poetry. I don't want to be one of those point the finger and fear the mirror guys that I always talk about. But they, you know, and on one hand, I think some of it's good to think about what the poet meant or imagine or not. But I also like, I said, but yet I also like direct so you can understand it.
This is all direct. Yes.
To me, Mary Faktor, and you may, I know I've got years on you, but you may be able to.
No, you don't.
I do.
I'm older than you. You said
what?
you're 70.
Yeah.
I'm 72.
I'm sorry. I'm stunned. I'm not supposed to have dead air. I'm stunned. You look fantastic. Your energy. I'm serious.
Clean living.
Yeah. Well, yeah. See, now I lost, but I know now with the internet, I'll look up song lyrics from a song from way back. And sometimes, who am I to say? Well, for me, the lyrics that I kind of made up in my head that I thought they were singing sometimes are better than for me. I'm not saying I'm not questioning their artistic abilities or whatever. So sometimes it works where you can read into, or it inspires. I'm sure your poetry inspires others.
Yes, some of it is inspirational. Some of it is depressing. Some of it is funny. Some of it is very thought-provoking. It just depends where I was at when I wrote it. And that's why it used to be just the poems. And then I took that and rewrote the book and republished. And that included the narrative prior to each poem of where I was at, why I wrote that, what message I want the reader to get. And I doubled the size of the book by doing that. And I've sold thousands through the years. It's just, some people want it. About 10% of the audience buys a book, I think.
I think that's fantastic. And it goes and probably gets circulated. Somebody passes it on, or somebody else starts to read it or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure that happens. Sure.
Because you'll never know. I mean, you can never know how your work impacts. You'll know from some, you'll
exactly
feedback, but I think about books that I've read over the years, and I never contacted the author 30, 40 years ago to say that book was inspirational to me or what it meant at the time, just didn't. Actually, I am rereading a book that I was so taken by when I think in my early 20s, because I'm very curious if it's what kind of impact.
Which book?
Oh, am I blushing? Can you see? Am I blushing? It's actually, there's a couple of different titles, but one of it is The Sex Diary of a Magician. the diary of somebody Soames. My recall isn't. Yeah, it's interesting under a few different
Okay.
titles, and it was.
Everything you wanted to know about sex, but we're afraid
Well,
to
no,
ask.
no, it's not.
Woody
The
Allen made
title.
a movie
There's
of that
plenty.
one.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God, that's right. That's right. I remember that now.
Yeah.
It's not just about sex, but there's plenty in that. So it was
Hey,
just.
we're never too old to learn something.
I agree. I agree. I agree. Whether
That's
you can
right.
put it into practice or not, or decide to, it might be something you don't like. Again, a lot of my analogies are with cooking. I want to taste different spices. I want to taste different. I want to make this. I'm going to make that. I'm going to try that. If I
Mhm.
don't like it, I just don't make it again.
Right, sure.
You know, everything doesn't have to be like, oh my God, that's fantastic.
That's right.
So
You learn what you like,
you
learn what
learn
you don't.
like
Yeah.
music. There's so much variety.
Right.
Listen to it, give it a few listens and not. When you think about, again, over the years, relationships, do you hear from people of how your show impacts their relationships? From people say,
Especially the relationships between mothers and daughters. I hear that a lot. But yes, the fact that the it used to be the 5 ages of woman, and then I got hired by a professional group, and they wanted me to. Most of their women in their group had been divorced or widowed, and they wanted me to maybe divorce the husband in the show so they could relate to it. And I did not want to do that. So that's why I wrote the extra act in there where she's separated for a while. They hit a bump in the marriage, and they are looking at getting divorced, but then they end up going to a marriage encounter weekend and working on the marriage, and they come out stronger than ever. And you could hear a pin drop in the audience during that part of the show. The rest, laughter, 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 and all of a sudden there is silence where they're feeling what I'm talking about. So yeah, I think it has an impact, definitely.
obviously, I know I've asked you this a number of times, Mary, but how does that feel for you, knowing that you're getting that kind of
I love it.
system that you're writing and performing?
This is what you get in live theater that you cannot get in film. In film, it's, do it again, do it again, do it again, take again, take again. And in live theater, you do it once, it either hits or it flops, and you get the applause or you get the laughter or you get the people choking up, or you get it right there in the moment. And it's a rush to know that you're connecting.
Tell me.
What's
Tell me.
that?
Go ahead, please.
I said you get a rush that you're connecting, whether it's a laugh or a tear or silence. You're connecting to the audience in that moment, and it's right in the moment. In film, you don't know the effect it
Yeah.
has on the audience until a year or two later when the film is released. So it's a big difference
And
between
then
theater
the
and filming.
immediacy of it, you're getting it right away. You're getting the
Right in
response right
you
away.
are in the moment, and sometimes you do something and it flops, and then you move on, or you have a problem, the sound system goes out, or I had one guy that had a seizure or a stroke or something, and flopped his head into his
Oh,
soup, and I had to leave the stage and pull his head out of the soup and lay him on the floor and have somebody call 911. So live theater, there's always something happening in live theater.
and sometimes
You get peace.
I know this is going to sound weird also, but it hit me a few years back of the value. I love comedy. I love live theater. I love, going to a film, whatever. But I was at a comedy club, and it just hit me that what a service the actors, actresses, comedians are doing, because everybody's got something going on in their life.
Always, yes.
It could be
Everybody has a story.
economic issues. The car broke down. They got a
Yeah,
bad diagnosis.
right.
Their pet rabbit died.
Yeah,
Who knows? It could be
absolutely.
multitude of
Everybody's
things.
got something. Yep.
Yet when you go in there and somebody starts performing like yourself,
Yes.
it's lifted. Now it may
Yes.
jog memories, it may connect with things, but for that time that you're there, you're
Yes.
not that like that burden is lifted from your shoulders.
Yes, absolutely.
And we all
And I've seen some people allow themselves to laugh out loud, and some people go, they
they
stifle,
come, yeah.
they put their hand over their mouth and they're afraid to laugh out loud. And I kind of give them permission in my introduction. If you feel a little giggle, go ahead and let it
Go
out like
for
a
it.
big laugh. Because laughter is the absolute best stress reliever.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
then I pause and I say, okay, it's the second best stress reliever. And then and then the laughs come because they know I'm making a joke about sex. And they
I was, oh wow.
and they get
I'm
they
thinking,
get
what's
the
the
joke,
first? Here I
they
am.
get
So
the joke
what's
and
the
they laugh.
first? Mary, what's the first? I'm thinking the second. Laughter.
And then I say, now I know what kind of audience I've
Yeah,
got.
now you know. Now you
So
know.
we're loosening them up a little bit in the beginning. Yeah.
You want again, you like that feedback.
Yes.
Again, I've heard that
Oh,
from
absolutely.
actors
I
is
love
that they
feedback.
want
Love
that
feedback.
energy. You want that.
Right.
I hate to say feed off that, but it
Right.
resonates with you.
Yes.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
you are fascinating.
Oh, thank
Seriously,
you.
the story and how it developed and how you developed it with, you kept picking yourself up and, with rejection or suggestions that people made, you should do this, that, to say, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to write it. And here you are 35 years later, still getting great
Yes.
reviews and people coming.
Yeah. And I didn't do it for the money. My first gig was $10. And then I was
Yeah.
at $25 for a long time. And I was at 50 for a long time. And I was at 100 for a long time. And I was at 300 for a long time. And it just grew and grew through the years. And it's just developed into a nice living for me over the last 35 years. I got divorced in 1992. I was single then for 15 years, and I remarried 17 years ago. And my husband, Mike, is my roadie, and he breaks me down and sets me up and drives to the gig and takes care of the book sales until I leave the stage and get down to the table. And so he's a godsend. I couldn't do what I do to the level I'm doing it without him. So
It's wonderful. It's a beautiful partnership, huh?
yeah.
So will we see him we'll see him
He
then.
will be there. Yes, he will be there. He's not used as well. He'll set me all up. He'll get my whole everything, all my props in order and everything, and make sure I have water up there and all that. He'll take care of all that pre-show. Then he just sits and relaxes during the show. And he's at the book table at the end of the show. And but he doesn't have to run sound on this one because it's such a huge theater. They have Big Jim running the soundboard, and he's a wonderful sound engineer, and so he's taking care of all the sound. So my husband doesn't have to worry about our portable sound system because most of what I do are dinner shows. I get sponsored by a local paper, and the Mimi Vanderhaven online, and they have a newspaper, and they sponsor me at hotel ballrooms, country clubs, party centers for dinner shows. And that's a big part of what I do is a dinner show where I'll have 200, 300 women in a room for 200 or 300 women. This is the huge theater, so they can seat up to 1,400 people. I know I'm not going to get that kind of response. I'll probably have maybe 500 if I'm lucky. And I know we're over 400 so far. And, I'm hoping some people hear this and come out to the show, and make sure that you get the $25 tickets from tix.com, not one of these other sites.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone getting
Hustled.
gypped.
Yeah, don't get hustled, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like a wonderful, wonderful evening. If people haven't been to I was going to say newly redone, refurbished, renovated Robbins Theater.
Yes.
It's not that newly.
Gorgeous.
It's just a few years ago. I can't remember. These days it's like, was it a year ago? Was it 5 years ago? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
I don't know when it was done, but it
beautiful.
is beautiful. And if you
Oh,
go to
that's-
dinner first, the Sunrise restaurant is right near the theater,
Mm.
and they have amazing food. It's not super fancy. It's not a place where, it's not, ultra rich
Right.
type, but it's
It's been
good
there.
food.
Yeah. And they've
Very
been
excellent.
there. They've stood there for the test of time. They've been there forever. Sunrise has been there.
They are excellent.
Family. Yeah.
For
Forever.
service, for food. Yeah.
Yeah. And they've got the club at Robbins. You can get more information online.
Right.
That
The
was
club opens at 6.
6.
The doors for the theater open at 7, and the show is at 8.
That'd be wonderful. And someone asked
I hope
about
you can
how
come
long
out.
the show lasts about.
The show is 90 minutes
Okay.
with no intermission. I'm on stage for 90 minutes and there is no intermission. So
Wow.
if you pee when you laugh, you need to either wear a diaper or get up in between
Right.
one of the phone calls and go to the bathroom.
Wear a diaper. Yeah, it's funny. It's like that. I guys tell me years ago, never miss the opportunity.
To
I
go to
didn't
the
want you not to go to the bathroom. And I'm thinking, okay, not me. In my head, not me, old man. That's not me. Well, now it's like, you know what? I better go before.
I think Jack Nicholson said that in the movie Bucket List, which is a really good movie. He and Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman is a mechanic, and Jack Nicholson is a multimillionaire who owns the hospital. And they both end up with cancer, sharing a room.
Oh, wow.
And
Bucket list.
they create a bucket list of all the things they want to do before they go. And they go together because Morgan Freeman doesn't have the money, but Jack Nicholson has plenty. And so they go together and they do the skydiving and they climb a mountain and they do all these different
sounds
things.
great.
And it is a great movie. It's called Bucket List.
Bucket list. I just wrote it down, Mary. And again, people are asking about the strike, et cetera, and maybe down the road we can talk more about that. But I do want to stay focused. Stay focused. That's not happening. But I do want to focus on this Saturday at the beautiful Robbins Theater. And like you said, there's the Sunrise. There's lots of places to enjoy, lots of places to eat.
Yes.
Close, free parking. Come on, tickets very, very reasonable. Very.
Well, I hope to see everybody out there. It's the only time I'll be there, at least for now. Hopefully, if we have a really great show and they get good response, they'll have me back. I would love to come back. And I hope you can come out, perhaps.
Absolutely. I would love to. I would absolutely love to, because it sounds,
right.
Even reading about it and seeing that the little video prior to, now speaking with you, it's like, wow, yeah.
Great.
You get to know a little bit more about the person that's doing it, that wrote it, that acts it, that is, that the history, it's even more fascinating.
Great.
Well, links up to your Facebook page and to, of course, your website.
On Facebook, the 6 Ages of Woman. It's woman, singular, not women. And the 6 Ages of Woman on Facebook. And that's, you can get there. And then maryfaktor.com is a website. And it's Factor with a K, F as in Frank, A-K-T-O-R. People want to put that C in there all the time.
Yeah, well, they're wrong. They're just well,
actually,
I know a factor with a C, and now it's easy to in my head to do that. So I'm delighted. I'm honored that you did the gig with me. I hope I wasn't too disconnected.
No, everything's fine.
You're wonderful. I would love to talk more about some of the other things.
Anytime. I'm always open for interviews, conversation, and friends.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. We've got the links up, but you can go directly to the links that Mary Faktor just said. Be there, get the tickets, and get them at the right spot. I've got also a link up at
RobinsTheater.com takes you to Tix.com, Tix.com, and that's your $25 tickets.
Yeah.
Anybody charging more than $25, you're at the wrong site.
Wrong site. And again, I've got those. You can go directly, of course, Robbins. I've got them listed at WFMJ.com, LouisFreeShow.com, and wherever else the young techies put that stuff. So, Mary,
thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it and seeing you Saturday night.
Have a great day.
Thanks. You too. Oh, she's wonderful. Again, the advantage to get some of the additional information, I should say, about her